Picture this. The oven timer dings, you slide out a tray of golden cookies, the smell fills the air, and you can already taste the reward. But then reality hits. The butter cost a small fortune, the eggs have doubled in price, and you realize that one batch of cookies ate into your grocery budget more than you expected. What if baking didn't have to drain your wallet? That's exactly what we're covering today. 30 genius baking hacks that save money, stretch every ingredient, and help you turn your kitchen into a frugal powerhouse without giving up flavor or quality. Welcome back to Frugal Footprints, where saving money meets smart living. Today's hacks are focused on the essentials: stretching your ingredients, making substitutions that work, and cutting down baking time. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to bake the smart way, saving money every time you preheat the oven. If you love this kind of content, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell because every week we're dropping practical hacks that help you save big without sacrificing the things you love. Now let's get into it. 1. Replace half the butter with applesauce. Butter is one of the priciest ingredients in baking. A single pound can cost as much as a small meal, and most recipes require cups of it. The trick? Replace half the butter in cookies, brownies, and cakes with unsweetened applesauce. Why it works? Butter provides fat and moisture. Applesauce is naturally moist and contains pectin, which acts like a binder. It keeps baked goods tender while reducing the fat content and cost. Example: if brownies call for 1 cup of butter, use half a cup of butter and half a cup of applesauce. The brownies stay fudgy, rich, and delicious. You save half the butter without losing texture. 2. Make your own brown sugar. Store-bought brown sugar is expensive, and it often hardens before you finish the bag. Instead, make your own. Combine 1 cup of white sugar with 1 tablespoon of molasses for light brown sugar. Add 2 tablespoons for dark brown sugar. Why it works? Brown sugar is literally white sugar with molasses mixed in. By making your own, you always have fresh brown sugar, you pay far less, and you control how dark the flavor gets. Example: a jar of molasses can last a year in your pantry. Pair it with cheap white sugar and you'll never need to buy overpriced brown sugar again. 3. Reuse parchment paper. Parchment paper can feel like a hidden cost in baking. Most people use it once and toss it. Unless it's badly burned, you can reuse parchment sheets up to 3 or 4 times. Just wipe them clean and store flat between books. Why it works? Parchment is coated in silicone, which is heat-resistant and non-stick. It doesn't lose those qualities after a single bake. Example: reusing parchment each week saves at least 2 rolls per month, which adds up to real savings over a year. 4. Substitute eggs smartly. Egg prices fluctuate wildly. In muffins, cakes, and quick breads, you don't always need real eggs. Mix 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water. Let it sit until gelled, then use it as 1 egg replacement. For cakes, a 1/4 cup of yogurt works beautifully. Why it works? Eggs bind and provide structure. Flax mimics the binding effect, and yogurt adds moisture and protein. Example: a dozen eggs can cost $4 or more, but a bag of flaxseed that costs $6 can replace dozens of eggs across multiple recipes. 5. DIY cake flour. Cake flour is sold as a premium product, but you don't need it. Measure 1 cup of all-purpose flour, remove 2 tablespoons and replace them with cornstarch. Sift well. Why it works? Cake flour is just low-protein flour. Cornstarch dilutes the protein content of all-purpose flour, creating the same tender result. Example: by skipping specialty cake flour, you save $3 to $5 per bag, all while using what you already have. 6. Freeze and grate butter. Pastry recipes need cold butter to stay flaky. Instead of struggling with cubes, freeze the stick and grate it directly into your flour. Why it works? Smaller shreds of butter create more layers when they melt, resulting in flaky pastry. It also reduces handling, which keeps dough tender. Example: biscuits made with grated frozen butter puff higher and taste better. And it saves time compared to cutting butter into flour with tools. 7. Turn stale bread into breadcrumbs. Don't throw out stale bread. Dry it completely in the oven, then pulse it into crumbs. Why it works? Bread is just starch. Once dried and ground, it keeps for weeks as crumbs that can coat casseroles, replace panko, or stretch meat dishes. Example: homemade crumbs cost pennies compared to 3 to 4 store-bought containers. 8. Stretch vanilla extract with vodka. Vanilla extract is one of the most expensive baking ingredients. When the bottle gets low, top it off with a little vodka and add a split vanilla bean if you have one. Let it sit for a couple of weeks. Why it works? Vodka extracts flavor compounds from vanilla beans. Even without beans, it stretches the extract's potency, giving you twice the lifespan of a single bottle. Example: instead of buying 12 bottles every few weeks, you extend one bottle for months. 9. Use baking soda with cream of tartar for baking powder. If you run out of baking powder, don't rush to the store. Mix 1 teaspoon of baking soda with 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Why it works? Baking powder is essentially baking soda plus an acid. Cream of tartar is acidic, so combining them makes the same leavening effect. Example: this substitution saves a mid-baked grocery run and stretches the life of 2 pantry staples you probably already have. 10. Store brown sugar with marshmallows. If you struggle with brown sugar hardening, place a couple of marshmallows in the container. Why it works? Marshmallows contain moisture, which prevents sugar crystals from drying out. Example: instead of throwing away rock-hard sugar, your brown sugar stays soft for months, saving waste. 11. Substitute buttermilk with vinegar and milk. Buttermilk often comes in quarts, but most recipes call for just half a cup. To save money, make your own. 1 tablespoon of vinegar or lemon juice plus 1 cup of milk. Let it sit for 5 minutes. Why it works? The acid curdles the milk slightly, creating the tang and texture of buttermilk. Example: you get the same fluffy pancakes and tender cakes without buying an entire jug that goes bad. 12. Measure honey and syrups with oil spray. Sticky ingredients waste half the product because they cling to measuring cups. Spray the cup with oil before measuring. Why it works? Oil creates a barrier that prevents sticking, so every drop of honey, molasses, or syrup slides out. Example: you stretch each bottle by getting the full amount instead of losing tablespoons to the cup. 13. Use muffin tins for portion control. Instead of baking large loaves that take forever, divide batter into muffin tins. Baking time is cut in half, and you save energy costs. Why it works? Smaller portions bake faster and more evenly, reducing the chance of waste. Example: banana bread batter in muffin tins bakes in 20 minutes instead of an hour, saving oven time and electricity. 14. Save energy by preheating smarter. You don't always need to preheat for 20 minutes. Most ovens reach temperature in under 10. Use an oven thermometer to track accurately. Why it works? Extra preheating wastes electricity. Example: cutting unnecessary preheat time saves hours of energy costs across a year if you bake often. 15. Freeze leftover dough. If you make too much dough, don't waste it. Roll it into balls, freeze them on a tray, then bag for later. Why it works? Freezing halts yeast activity and prevents spoilage. Example: cookie dough balls go from freezer to oven, giving you fresh cookies whenever you want without making new dough each time. 16. Bake multiple items at once. If you already have the oven on, maximize it. Bake 2 or 3 items at once on different racks. Why it works? The oven uses the same energy whether 1 tray or 3 are inside. Example: bake muffins and a casserole together, saving an entire oven cycle. 17. Use powdered milk. Milk prices swing up and down, and fresh milk spoils quickly. Powdered milk lasts months and can be reconstituted for recipes. Why it works? Once rehydrated, it behaves like liquid milk in baking. Example: pancakes made with powdered milk taste identical, but the shelf life means you never waste half a carton. 18. Freeze extra egg whites or yolks. If a recipe calls for only yolks or whites, freeze the leftover parts in ice cube trays. Why it works? Eggs freeze surprisingly well, and when thawed, they function like fresh in baking. Example: save yolks from meringue recipes, then use them weeks later in custards or cookies. 19. Stretch frosting with whipped cream. Buttercream can be expensive. To stretch it, fold in whipped cream. Why it works? Whipped cream adds volume without sacrificing lightness. Example: you cover the same cake with half the butter and sugar, lowering cost while keeping flavor. 20. Repurpose coffee grounds in chocolate recipes. If you brew coffee at home, don't toss the last tablespoon. Mix it into chocolate cakes or brownies. Why it works? Coffee deepens chocolate flavor, making desserts taste richer without extra cocoa. Example: 1 spoon of leftover coffee boosts flavor, saves waste, and makes the recipe feel gourmet. 21. Toast nuts before baking. Nuts are expensive, so make them count. Toast them lightly before folding into batter. Why it works? Toasting enhances flavor, so you can use fewer nuts without sacrificing taste. Example: a half cup of toasted walnuts tastes stronger than a full cup raw. 22. Replace frosting with glaze. Instead of thick frosting, make simple glazes with powdered sugar and milk. Why it works? Glaze uses far fewer ingredients and takes seconds to make. Example: a bundt cake covered in glaze looks elegant but costs pennies compared to buttercream. 23. Revive stale cookies with bread. If cookies go hard, place a slice of bread in the container overnight. Why it works? Bread releases moisture that softens cookies. Example: a stale dozen cookies becomes fresh again instead of wasted. 24. Freeze overripe bananas. Never throw out bananas. Peel, bag, and freeze them for banana bread. Why it works? Freezing concentrates the sweetness and keeps them ready for baking. Example: 1 bunch of frozen bananas turns into loaves or muffins weeks later. 25. Use oats to stretch flour. If you're low on flour, grind oats into oat flour and swap up to 1/3 of the total. Why it works? Oats add fiber, texture, and extend flour usage. Example: chocolate chip cookies with part oat flour taste heartier and save money. 26. Save butter wrappers. When you unwrap butter, don't throw away the wrapper. Store them in the fridge and use them to grease pans. Why it works? Butter residue greases perfectly without wasting extra butter or spray. Example: lining a cake pan with a wrapper replaces costly non-stick spray. 27. Portion and freeze baked goods. If you overbake, don't let it go stale. Freeze portions individually. Why it works? Freezing halts staleness and extends shelf life. Example: freeze muffins in bags and reheat one at a time for weeks of breakfasts. 28. Double batch and save. When making dough, always double it. Use half now, freeze half for later. Why it works? Preheating, mixing, and cleanup take the same time whether you make 1 or 2 batches. Example: a second batch of pizza dough costs pennies more but saves a full prep day later. 29. Bake with glass or ceramic pans. Glass and ceramic hold heat better than thin metal pans, baking more evenly and sometimes faster. Why it works? Even baking reduces waste from undercooked centers or burned edges. Example: casseroles or brownies bake evenly so you don't lose portions to mistakes. 30. Use residual heat. When the oven is off, don't waste the leftover heat. Slide in granola, nuts, or bread to warm. Why it works? Ovens hold heat for up to 20 minutes, which is enough to lightly toast or finish low-heat recipes. Example: instead of reheating the oven later, you save energy by using heat you already paid for. And there you have it. 30 genius baking hacks that save you money, stretch ingredients, and cut kitchen time in half. These aren't gimmicks. They're practical tricks that bakers have used for generations to make ingredients go further. Which one are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing how these hacks work in your kitchen. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button because it helps more people find our frugal living tips. And don't forget to subscribe to Frugal Footprints so you never miss a new hack.